Hey guys, welcome back to Bearded Lumber today. Matthew and I greatly appreciate you tuning in. We're over in our kiln building. We got something special today. It's going to be a month-long process for us filming it, but you'll get to watch it in a 15-20 minute video, I hope. We're going to dry this 5/4 white oak boards from, I'm guessing, 40-45% moisture down to 6%. So hang on, you can go for the ride with us. Hey guys, welcome back to Bearded Lumber. Matthew and I appreciate you tuning in today. We're over in our kiln. We just emptied it out. You may have seen that video already. We've had a bunch of nice pine boards. We're gotta run through the planer, but that'll be later. Today we're loading it back up with oak. Probably my least favorite run in the kiln because of time. I'm not a slow person. I like to move forward. But when you're running oak, you got to be patient, and that's what we're going to do in this video. We've got a little less than optimal. We only got 2,700 board feet, but it's kind of a Duke's mix of customer wood, and we got some wood of our own to fill it up. All our wood is going to be 5/4, 8 foot, and we got 2 stacks of 5/4, 12 foot out there, and then we got some customer stuff that's been air drying, a mix of 1 and 2 inch stuff. It's been here a couple months, so between the air drying, everything should balance out. That's a little bit of a misnomer about mixing wood in your kiln. If you put in a wet piece of wood and a dry piece of wood, they will essentially dry at the end the same. The wet wood will lose moisture and the dry wood will gain moisture, and they'll kind of balance out a few days right before it finishes. So the goal for this is we're going to get it set up, get it running, and we'll try to do a weekly update because this is going to run 35 to 40 days. It don't matter if I got 1,000 feet or 4,000 feet in here. It's just the cycle time of the percentage of water that it can get out, about 1.5% maximum per day. So when we click it on, our probes, we got 2 of them installed already. They'll give us a reading, and I can kind of give you a ballpark number once that settles out. It'd probably be in the 40-45% range. So, 1.5% per day plus a day or 2 for sterilizing. You can figure it out. It takes a while, but it's how you get beautiful dried oak is you got to put in the time. We put in the work last week sawing all this. It seems like it takes forever to saw 5/4 inch boards, but we got them done. So we're going to bring the rest of this in, make sure you shot we get our pretty 5/4 boards up front. But we'll definitely, when we set the kiln up as far as setting all the parameters, we'll go over that. Also got my spreadsheet here. It's very important that you run one of these guys. It really helps you keep track of what's going on. I put down what wood we put in there. I also put down where I put the probe. So if one probe's kind of wonky, not reading right, I know which stack it's in. So let's get to work, and we'll be right back. Okay guys, I'll try to talk a little louder. We got our compressor running. I want to go ahead and get it set up so I can show you where we're at. Now, if you buy one of these, this is what comes in your manual. I took out the 4 most important pages and laminated them, but we're running what's called a Group 3 oak hardwood, and you have a normal selection and then you have an alternative. I've done this enough times, I don't mind skipping to the alternative. It's a little hotter, just a little bit faster. Just for instance, if we were running the normal suggested schedule, we'd start with 90 degrees dry bulb and 86 wet bulb. We're going to step that up to 100 degrees dry bulb and 97 degrees wet bulb. So it's going to heat up to 100, and it's not going to draw any water out until the wet bulb gets up to 97 degrees. So it just speeds the process on a little bit. When you start, I recommend you go by the normal schedule until you get a handle on it. So let's look at our machine here. Right now, this is our probes, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let me get a pointer up here. One started at 55, 60, 60, 65, and our average moisture is 59.9. It's currently running the compressor and the humidification, which we don't have. Now, that will go away shortly. The box temperature is 81.6 dry, 0 wet bulb. Now, if we go into the configuration, you can turn each probe on or off. No need to turn them off, leave them all running. Our current dry bulb temperature is 100 set. Our wet bulb is set at 97. I set our final moisture target at 6%, and we're in root group 3, so you can change that to 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're in root group 3, and that's it. I want to make sure that the compressor is on, the over vent temperature's on, and the heat's on. Now, if we had the humidification, we could run it, but we don't have it. So that's it. It's set. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon here, so I won't look at it again until in the morning, and we'll see where it's at, where it starts drawing water. Your next update will probably be next Friday. It'll be about 7 days, and we'll go over what I've started with and where we've gotten to over a 7-8 day period. So it won't be a flash for you, but we'll see you in a week. Welcome back to our Friday update on this kiln run of white oak. We put this in Thursday a week ago at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So I really didn't want to do an update yesterday. I kind of waited till today, Friday, because it's been a full 7-day cycle. If you want to add 12 hours, you can, but it really, by putting it in at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's 24 hours before it really comes up to temperature and starts doing anything. So, to you guys that never run a kiln, are running one and have questions, my greatest advice to you is learn to run a spreadsheet to keep the pertinent information. And I'll tell you what's on my spreadsheet. I normally put the day, the time that I checked it, the amount of water, if any, that I got out of it. I'll record my dry bulb temperature, my wet bulb temperature, and the overall moisture temperature. Now, when I start the run, I like to write down what my probes were when I first turned it on. If you get one that's been a little wild and it started high and it stayed high, you don't think so much of it. But if you got one that's, it started out at 30% and all of a sudden it's 50, something's wrong. They're not going. They may go up a point or two, but they're not going to go up 20. So, just things to keep written down. Let's go over what's happened in a week. From Thursday a week ago at 4 o'clock till this Friday at 8:30 a.m. We've extricated 106 gallons of water. We started with a 59.3 moisture content, and we're down to a 45.2 moisture content in 7 days. Now that's right at 2%, and that's pushing it hard for oak, but that's acceptable within the first week because you're trying to balance the wood out. Some will be wetter, some will be drier. You may get a little more than that, you may get a little less than that. So I wouldn't fret it. I wouldn't fret over 2% the first week. Now, from this week to next week, I do not want to do 2%. I want to be around that 1.5%. And the last couple of days, it has remained at a 1.5% or less. That's what the computer's doing. It's trying to maintain that 1.5% drop per day. We turned the kiln on at 100 degrees dry bulb and 97 wet bulb. I I went ahead and kicked that a little harder on this way, write that down. On Tuesday morning, I went ahead and kicked that to 105 because it wasn't getting any water. We started on, come on fingers. We started on Thursday. It got a little water Saturday and Sunday, and then it quit getting anything. And I've done this enough to know that sometimes you got to kick it a little bit to get it started. So I bumped it up to 105 degrees wet dry bulb, and dropped the wet bulb to 94 to get it in a water cycle. And it's been giving water ever since. These are within 12 hours, sometimes 10, 14, but I try to stay within a 12-hour cycle. But you're looking at 15, 10, 13, 9 gallons of water, and that's right where you want to be. In the last 24-hour cycle from this morning to yesterday morning, we got 1.2% on our moisture drop, and that's perfectly acceptable for a white oak hardwood. If we was drawing pine, we'd be it's going too slow, and it would. But drying hardwoods, that's right where you want to be. So I'll hang on to this, and in a week we'll do another update, see where we're at. If this is your first time drying wood, and you got any kind of patience issue, you're gonna hate drying hardwoods. I do. I prefer dry pine because it's 7 to 10 days, and it's in, it's out, it's in, it's out. It's gonna be weeks, people, and you need to maintain this knowledge, where you're at, where you're trying to get, how your wood's doing. Luckily, we built our kiln with a back door, and I can take my flashlight and I can go in and do a visual check on the material, make sure I'm not seeing any undue cracking, splitting, twisting, make sure the bundles are still good and tight. You guys that can't get in them, I don't know what you do. I guess you just don't worry about it until it's over. So that's gonna do it for this weekly update. I'm gonna turn the fans back on. You can hear the roar. Makes it roar a little bit back here, but guys, we greatly appreciate you watching. It'll be just a second for you, but it's going to be a week for us. But I'll be right back. Good morning, guys. Welcome back to our week 2 update. They turn that fans off so we get a little less roar back here. So where we're at today, this is Friday, 7 days from our last update. We're currently sitting at 110 degrees, 0.4, and 96.8 on the wet bulb, and we're at 34.6 in our moisture content. So the change from last week to this week is we were at 45.2 relative moisture. Now we're at 34.7 or 6. It just changed. That's a decrease of 10.5% in your moisture content over 7 days. That's acceptable. That's within the 1.5% range or less. Our water, we collected 56 gallons of water, and when we got below 35%, which was yesterday, I raised the temperature to 110 degrees dry bulb and 95 degrees wet bulb. So that's where we're sitting. You probably hadn't forgot because it's just been a minute or two for you, but we started at 59.3 on our relative moisture content, and we're down to 34 from September the 5th to the 20th, 15 days. That's acceptable. I'm pushing it pretty hard for oak. I'm not trying to overdo it, but I'm not letting it just sit around idle. I got my foot on the accelerator a little bit. I'm keeping a check on the wood, make sure everything's acceptable. Definitely don't want to case harden it, don't want to crack it, split it, but I also don't want it to sit here and run 50 days either. So I believe that's going to do it, guys. I know it won't be but a split second for you, but we'll come back next Friday and we'll do another update and compare numbers and see where we're at. Good morning, guys. I went ahead and turned these fans off so you wouldn't have to listen over top of them. This is our week 3, week 4 update. If you've been watching any of our other videos, you probably have. You know that the South got hit by Hurricane Helene, and that affected our kiln. Real world. We were 2 weeks into our kiln run, and on Friday the 27th, first thing in the morning, fire went out, and it was out till the 27th late in the day. And this little technical update: when the power come back on, everything around here, you know, I was the only guy home. Matthew was on the doctor with Caitlin for the baby, and I think Michael Dad were down at the lake working on his house. So I had to go around, cut everybody's generator off, unhook it, make it safe to turn the power back on, you know, do all that. So when I got back down here finally and turned this on, it didn't come on. And I was like, oh no. I've been in it. I hadn't been in it since we installed it, but I was pretty sure there was some fuses in there. So I took the cover back off, and there's like six inline fuses about the size of your pinky, the 20 amps, and I checked them, and they were all good. And over here on this side, they had 2 push-in fuses that were this little bit about the size of that pen, you know, about that long. And I pulled them out and owned them, and one of them was bad. Fortunately, the electrician and they were 10 amp. The electrician's wiring up my motor planer. He put in some 10 amp fuses that were too small, and we were waiting on some 20 amp ones to go in it. And we'd popped a couple of them, but I had some good fuses over in another building. Went and got them, put it in, fixed it right up. So things happen. You know, luckily I had the fuses, so I wasn't down any more time. It was already 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, so I wasn't going to be getting any spare parts the next day. But we got it heated back up. So this update's going to cover 2 weeks, from Friday to the next Friday. So we started with a 45.2. You know, right one here. Our starting temperature was 110. Since then, we got below 25%, so we've raised our temperature up to 120 degrees. Our wet bulb was 96.8. Even with the temperature raised, it's still 96.6 on the wet bulb. Our temperature settings are 120 and 94. I got the wet bulb a little bit low because I'm trying to push this through. Our average moisture, we started at 34.7 and we're down to 24. So in 2 weeks, we lost 10.7% of moisture. And our total gallons of water evacuated was 54. So it's good to keep a spreadsheet. It'll amaze you on these big runs, you know, how much time it takes, how many adjustments you make, what the wood's doing. I checked the wood after it set. It set for 5 days. It cut off at 109, 110 degrees. It set for 5 days, never opened the door. When this come back on, I opened the door, went in, it was still 90 degrees. That's pretty impressive to me. It hadn't been 90 degrees here. It's been 80, 82, 65 at night, and I still maintained 90 degrees in the box. And it took just a little bit for it to recover. Took a few hours for it to get back up to temperature, and as soon as it got above, you know, 100, it don't care so much about the high temp, it cares more about the wet bulb. As soon as it got above that 94 degrees on the wet bulb, it'll spit out water. So we're back to normal. Like I say, I looked at the wood, I didn't see any degradation, didn't see any problems. It's not ideal to pause a kiln run in the middle, but it happens, you know. So that's going to do it for today's update. At 24% moisture, yeah, unfortunately we're looking at a week and a half, 2 weeks, because you're only doing 1.5% a day. That's, what was that, about 10% a week? Yeah, so hopefully about 2 weeks we'll get this out of here, because if you look on the other end of the building, We're ready. We got more to cut. Got a lot more to cut. That's a rod. That's a rod. That's another rod. And if we hadn't been without power and everything for a week, it'd probably be 3 or 4 more runs sitting there ready to go. I'm booked up through next year. I'm already pushing people out. Matthew and I are cutting oak right now, and I'm hoping mid-November to late November I can get it in, and it'll run all the way through Christmas. And they want it sooner than that, but I told them I can't get it no sooner than that. I got other things I've got to run. So, as always, you know, if one of these fits in your budget, and there's not 10 of them in your area already, it's a great service you can offer to your customers. It adds a lot of value to your wood. You know, it's just instead of barn wood, that becomes, you know, furniture wood, tongue and groove type stuff, hardwood flooring. You know, it adds a lot of tremendous value. So, appreciate you watching, guys. Thanks for following along with us through Hurricane Helene. Keep those people in your thoughts and prayers. This is something that's not going to be over in a few days, few weeks, few months. You know, his family's going to suffer loss for years. The communities that were devastated, they're going to suffer loss for years. I mean, this is not going to get better overnight. So keep me in thoughts and prayers. As always, thank you for watching, guys, and we'll catch you on the next update. Hey guys, welcome back to the kiln. They turn these fans off so you can hear me. This is another 1 week update. We went through October the 1st, or excuse me, the 4th. Today being the 11th. Well, it's a quick video for y'all, but for me, it's been another week. We're drying white oak, of course. In the last 7 days, we went from 24% moisture to 15.3 on our moisture. That's only a drop of 8.7. I'll tell you up front, drying oak is a pain, and you will experience this. Pine, it seems like you start, you get the temperature up, and you just run it hard, it runs out, and it's pretty predictable. Oak, it never fails. Somewhere during their cycle, it's going to slow down, and it's going to almost stop. In that same 7-day time frame, we dropped 8.7% moisture, but we only pulled out 9 gallons of water. Now, this is going to happen, guys. You may be at 25% moisture and it stopped for a week and just not do nothing. Just give it time. It will finish its process. Like I say, it always happens. Now, one thing that's a little different with me today is we've experienced the temperature change. From the time we started this, you know, we were in the mid-90s, you know, lows in the 70s. Well, now we're in the high 70s and the lows in the 50s overnight. So temperature change can make a difference in your kiln too. But it's working. I wish it would hurry up a little bit, but you can't rush oak. You have to let the computer do its thing. I did spike the temperature just, okay, let's try it again. GoPro's losing its mind this morning. I did spike the temperature about 5 degrees, just kind of put it up on another ledge to see if it would help it. And it seemed like it did. You just gotta be careful with that. You can't do too much at one time. We're at 15%, shooting for 6, 7, 8 in that range. So maybe another week, we'll see. It may take off tomorrow and spit out a few gallons of water. I did check my hydrometer inside and it's low. It's down to almost 20% relative humidity. And normally with pine, you'd be done already. So it is a very dry box currently. They may not get much more water out of it because you lose, you know, not every drop of water comes out and gets collected. You know, sometimes you just lose it to the air. There's a few leaks on the box where it sucks in some air or blows out a little air, and you know, you'll lose some humidity that way. So don't get upset if you're not getting any water. That's why I keep a spreadsheet, see where it's going, see how it's behaving. I'm currently happy with it, other than it just takes a long time. So That should be your week 5 update. Maybe one more and we'll get this thing out of here, guys. It'll be a week for me, but I'll see you again in just a minute. Okay, guys, this is our last 7-day update. It's actually Friday, a week. It ended Wednesday, and I put it in sterilization, so it run 36 hours above 135 degrees. Finished up, I think, around 145, which is adequate for sterilization. So we're gonna open it up this morning and take a good look at it and get it out of here. We got other stuff we got to get in it, so let's pop the seal, see what it looks like. Okay, guys, we're back. We got the doors opened up. Got my cheat sheet out here for week 5 of this kiln run, which started October the 12th through the 17th. We started at 16.2 on our moisture content, and we ended up at 8%. Now, I actually stopped a little high. I stopped about 10, but knowing that I was going to sterilize at such a high temperature, I knew it would lose 1.5 to 2 points in the drying, and it did. So we finished up at 8.1 on our moisture content. I verified that with our pen meter, and most of it was saying 6, 7, 8, right in that range. As far as water, last week got very little water, a gallon or two, because it was so dry in the box. It just wasn't no water to come out. When you get on hardwood, especially when you get down to those lower numbers, there's not a lot of water going to come out of this process. We put it in on September the 5th, and it come out on October the 18th. We're unloading it. Now, we lost 5 days because of the hurricane without power, and those 5 days probably cost us a week, because the box, even after 5 days, it was down to 100 degrees, but you still got to heat it back up, get it back in the cycle. It's not ideal by any means. So we probably lost a week. It should have been a 4-week run, somewhere around 30 days, but it took what it took because of the hurricane. So it is done. The wood looks good. I'm a big proponent of strapping. These were tied as a banjo string, and you can see how much they've loosened up. That's how much your wood's going to shrink over 40 days in the kiln. And I could have went back in and tightened these up. The front stack's a little harder to get to, but the bottom stack's no problem because you got all that weight on it. The wood itself looks good. No appreciable end checking. You're gonna always have a little. None of this was painted. It should have been, the end should have been sealed, anchor sealed or painted, either one. Like this, that's a defect in the wood. That's nothing to do with drying. You can see the heart right here. Same thing with here. Some wood is just gonna crack. Ain't nothing you can do about it. It has some tension built into it, so don't get upset about it. When the majority of good looking pieces don't crack, right here, it's got a crack, but it's in the heart. This, yeah, same thing here. Some of it you just can't help. Now, if you saw a bad piece of wood, you're going to dry a bad piece of wood. It's just the way it works. If you saw a piece of wood that's got heart in it, it's probably going to crack. You can't do nothing about it. What I always heard around here, you can't make chicken salad out of chicken poop. So if you cut a bad board, you're going to dry a bad board. So be a little more selective when you're sawing. Matthew and I have had to learn that over time. Used to we'd saw anything. Oh, it looks good. Then you dry it and it looks like crap. Well, if it's bad when you saw it, it's not going to get any better when you dry it. So if you don't think you can have a use for it or sell it, go ahead and cull it when you saw it. because after you go through this process, it's not going to improve, it's going to get worse. So anything we missing on this, Matthew? Other
we're ready to start running pine again.
Yeah, we're ready to get back to running pine, you know, every 8-10 days, cycle a load through here. Running this oak takes forever. You know, if you're running 30 to 40 day averages, you're only going to get 10 runs a year out of one of these boxes. And I've got to do more than that. We've already decided we're going to have a second one. I don't know when we can afford to put it in, but at some point, I'd like to run oak all the time, you know, have more of it available, but I can't dedicate this box to it because I need so much pine coming through and poplar and different things. So maybe a year or so we'll dedicate time and funds to build a second one, but for right now we'll just run less oak, you know, or charge more for running it, one or the other. If you watched our previous videos, you know Matthew's got a new son, Mordecai, so he's getting back to work with us a little bit today. Hopefully next week we get back to full steam. We got work to do. But on this oak, I know it's a long, drawn-out video with a lot of cuts, a lot of, you know, drop-ins, weekly check-ins, whatever. But if you got any questions, leave them. This is a learning process, people. I'm not going to be able to answer all your questions. You're just going to have to jump in there, start running it with best practices, and see where you get. Oak can be finicky. You'll get to a point to where your temperature's steady, your moisture content steady, and you won't get any water out of it. Nothing to move. And that's just the nature of oak. It's like it'll come down on a steady scale, and then it'll flatten out. And people get all upset. Well, it's been a week and it ain't moving. It's just the way oak does sometimes. Sometimes you have to spike the temperature. Okay, GoPro trouble, sorry about that. With oak, sometimes it'll just hit a flat spot, and you may have to even spike the temperature just to get it reacclimated to giving you out water. Just be careful with it. You don't want to do too much at one time. Remember, about 1% to 1.5% moisture drop per day is all you need. Any more than that, you're going to tear your wood up, you know, dry too fast. So I believe that's long enough for this video. I hope it helps somebody out there that's trying to learn how to run a kiln or got some questions. If you do have questions, drop them in the comment section. We'll do our best to answer them. That's going to do it for this one, guys. Appreciate you watching, and we'll see you back at the mill.
Thank you for watching. Here's a video selection and a playlist suggestion. Click here to subscribe for more great content. We'll see you at the mill.